Welcome to Keep What You Earn, a show for entrepreneurs and business owners who want to scale and build enterprise value without making costly mistakes. I'm your host, Shannon. I'm a CFO and CPA who left a career serving Fortune 50 companies in Wall Street to help business owners just like you make life-changing wealth with your business. These episodes are meant to be super tactical and actionable, but please remember, consult your own financial professional before you implement anything you learn in this podcast. Now, if you'd be interested in working with us to do so, check out the show notes for more information about our company, Keep What You Earn Co. All right, let's start the show. Hey there, welcome back to the show. Today, I would love to introduce you to my guest, Joey Mure. Now, Joey is the founder of Wealth Without Wall Street. And as he puts it, we save the world from having the feeling, well, I have to trade time for money for the rest of my life. You deserve to enjoy life and the fruit of your labor. We understand and have been there. We'll help you to achieve this freedom by following our 3-step process. So we're going to cover his process for achieving passive income, for achieving really true wealth, and the philosophy of whether trading time for money is the answer in the short term and the long term, how to actually build wealth in a logical and systematic way that works for you. And the key works for you. And this is not one of those like quick get rich schemey type of things like, oh, you should do this, you should do that. We got to talk about ways that will actually be sustainable, ways that will be custom, and how to approach your wealth building journey in a way that will actually work. So without further ado, let's hear from Joey. Hey, Joey, how's it going?
I'm doing great. I'm in the room with somebody who's like-minded. So this is going to be a great day.
I know this is going to be fun. If you wouldn't mind just telling our audience who you are, what you do that maybe they didn't hear in the intro, just a little bit about what Wealth Without Wall Street is and how it got started.
I like to call myself a beggar, trying to tell other beggars where to find the bread, Shannon. That's how I see myself. I've been given a unique insight into the world that, man, we are not promised tomorrow, we have too much at stake in terms of our families and our impact on the world. And we need to start thinking differently about money to support that. So Wealth Without Wall Street exists to help people who want to be financially free get there faster and not have to depend on retirement accounts or getting out of debt or any of those things or investing things they don't understand. And so that's what we really are about, is helping people create more passive income than their monthly expenses today so that they can have that impact.
Yeah, I think there's just an over focus, especially the way I was raised as a millennial by boomer parents, that your gateway to wealth is in the market. Your gateway to wealth is somehow, part of this bigger system. And I learned over time, I guess I was blessed with the opportunity, if you will, to learn that lesson earlier, although through tragedy. Both myself and my husband, we lost our dads, when we were in our 20s and 30s. And what was enlightening about that was exactly what you said. Tomorrow isn't promised. And to operate like we are willing to sacrifice today for the benefit of tomorrow, like they never got their 401ks. They never got to tap into that. And it woke me up to the fact that what was it all for? Can you imagine what they probably sacrificed? How many things they said no to in the process? How many trips they said no to in the name of that retirement savings that they never even got? Now, I'd love to think that all of us are going to get that one day, but it's a lot of entitlement in my mind to think that that's a guarantee, and it's not worth sacrificing.
No way. In fact, I would think even more differently than that is we're taught this idea to accumulate for that later date so that we can then get it. And then what's the whole point? It's this idea of retirement, that we are now taken out of service of whatever we're doing today, and then being able to live either freely or abundantly because now we have this cash that we can do something with. But the crazy thing is we had it to begin with. We were just abdicating that money to Wall Street in the meantime and living, to your point, somewhat scarcely. I don't want to sound like, somebody who's, just not connected to reality, but you are making decisions by putting money away every paycheck, every month, whatever it may be, into these vehicles that you are not getting to live abundantly today. And the idea that you're going to once 40 years later, start living abundantly just doesn't exist. I mean, I was at the beach, Shannon, with my family, and we all had our Wealth Without Wall Street swim shirts. It's really cute. Me and my wife and 5 daughters, we have our swim shirts on. We're all matching. And this lady comes up and she's older and she says, "Hey, what's that on your shirt?" And I was like, "Oh, this is our company, Wealth Without Wall Street." She's like, "Oh yeah, well, me and my husband, we just retired this last year." And she says, "I hope it's enough." And I was like, "I'm sorry, did she just say that?" Like, she just said the inside words outside. She's like, "I hope it's enough." That's all that you're at the pinnacle. You have made it. This is retirement. I am finally there 40 years later. And that's the only thing she can say. So what does that tell me? That means she's not looking forward to, man, all the things we can do now. She's like, "I hope I don't spend too much because what if it's not there? What if I run out of money?" Like, she has no abundance behind that statement. So
Mhm.
we just need to think differently to start living today. And we have to do it by making the money not just accumulate, but create passive income that takes the pressure off of our requirement for active income, if that makes sense.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think what you're saying is it aligns so closely with what we believe now too, which is that retirement, we actually don't believe, my husband and I both don't believe in this linear life of work, 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 stop working. We believe in this like integration of enjoy life today, enjoy what you do vocationally, enjoy, the time you have off. Any given day, I'm hiking a volcano and also doing tax returns. Like, it's okay. Right, but it's more like it doesn't have to be linear where it actually breaks my heart because we live in Costa Rica in an expat community of a lot of retirees. So what you're saying hits home because we are on the younger side of the population here. And we see a lot of people who retired and they're not like they live here, but they're not, I would say, living a rich life here. They're also worried about having enough. They're also worried about what to do, and I wonder
Their
how much the
health. What about their
exact their
health?
health and the energy they have to enjoy it, because now they said, "Oh, we retired thinking we are gonna go travel to Europe and do all these things, but we're just tired now, like, we're older now." And I'm like, "Wow, like, what a concept." Maybe we kinda thought about this and said, "Why don't we do this in our 30s?" Now we don't have kids, it's a big asterisk, right? It's like, we don't have kids, which is a big enabler, but exactly that, like, we have the energy now in our 30s and 40s, like, let's do it now before we probably slip and fall and hurt our hips and legs, and we can't walk the cobblestones in Italy. We can't, hike the mountains anymore. Do it now. And I think that's a lot of the same philosophy of Wealth Without Wall Street is like, don't be waiting on someone else to deliver your wealth for you on a delayed shipping. Just you have to you have to be able to make it for yourself now. But here's the thing, a lot of people will hear what you're saying and go, "Yeah, but to not save anything for the future feels irresponsible, or to spend all of it now feels irresponsible, and it just goes against everything I've been taught." Can you just address like I guess the polarity of
Yeah.
that, and just talking about like, are you anti saving anything for retirement? Like, what's the optimal blend for people that you work with?
Yeah. It's a great question. And it boils down to this. This isn't about, spending every dollar that you make. This is about thinking differently about the formula to success. The formula to success is not constantly just putting a portion of this money away and just hoping that someone else is managing it for you, that one day it'll be this pile that you can start taking dollars off the top and hopefully never run out. That's the broken model. The actual model is live below your means today, save the excess into the most optimal place, quit putting money into money traps, which we can dive into that if you want, with what I call a money trap,
Mhm.
and then put the money in an optimal place to start leveraging into passive income assets, which does what? Creates more cash flow that then you can use to either start reducing your active lifestyle, whatever you have to do to make money, or you can start perpetually building that into a much bigger income stream so that you can exit whatever you either don't love doing. Because that's the thing. Most people, the other part of the retirement myth is that most people, I'm not saying everybody, but a lot of people are not doing what they're optimally designed to do. They're doing what they can put up with. And that's what they've been told. Well, this is just what you do. For 40 years, you just put in the hours and you just, it's not all rainbows and unicorns, but eventually you can be retired. And that's what your hope is in. I'm saying, man, it's too short. Do create the passive income so that you have options. Because let's say that your monthly expenses are $6,000 and you produce over $6,000 a month in passive income through various different passive income strategies that exist, most people are not exposed to. And once you do that, now you have the option to go do something you would go do for free, which would give you the most fulfillment, the most ability to impact the world around you, your family, other people. That is the option. Those options exist. And I think most people have stopped even dreaming about what that could look like, but they know that they're in financial jail. They know that they're just in those golden handcuffs to have to do whatever they're doing because their lifestyles is, dictating it and they don't have a plan.
Right. And there's this term passive income that I think has become widely popular, right? Passive income meaning like, oh, I can like make money while I sleep, right? And yes, to some extent, but I feel like passive income is also overused in my mind to describe a
For
lot of
sure.
things that can make money. So, what does passive income mean to you, and how do you actually implement passive income for clients? Like, what does that actually look like?
Yeah. So, couple different thoughts on that. Number one, passive income is not uninvolved income. So you have to actually become an investor if you want to have passive income. There is no like, silver bullet that, man, you know what? I don't have to do any research. I don't have to have any sort of investment training or understanding of what's out there, or even my own personal, we call it the investor DNA profile. Like you don't even know what sort of investor you are and how you see the world and what sort of things line up with it. You're going to lose money. You're going to put money something and it's not going to turn into passive income because you haven't really become an investor. So when I say it's not uninvolved, it means you actually have to do the work to learn these things. And we actually have a part of our process we call the passive income lab, where people come in for 12 weeks. They work with a coach individually and a group setting to learn things like, what's my investor DNA? What's my personality profile? Well, how does it line up with these like top 18 passive income strategies that exist? How does that then inform my investor buy box? Like, what am I going to say no to? What am I going to say yes to? And does the investment line up with this box? How do I read a pitch deck? When someone sends you a pitch deck, by the way, it doesn't look bad. It looks really good. And you have to be able to discern, what are the gaps here? What are the potential pitfalls? How can I lose money in this deal? And then we teach them how to ask the operator the proper questions to uncover if, one, they're the right fit for me to place capital with or not. Like all these things, you have to do the work. Nobody can do that for you, right? The easy button is just put money in my 401k and hope that it works out. But it's also like, hey, you know what? I don't know what to do with my health, so I'm just going to give that to somebody else. No, nobody can help you with your health on their own. You have to participate, and your money is no different. So I'd say one, it's not uninvolved income. You have to be an investor. And then the second thing is there's also this kind of quasi place where some people are going to have the biggest effect on their future by being an advisor to some passive income, like somebody who has the ability to go in. And this is what Russ and I actually really like, is we like to have operators in place. Like we're a part owner of a candle company. We don't do anything on a day-to-day basis with that candle company. But every month to 2 months, we check in with the operator. We're like, hey, how can we support you? Is there anything that we can do to help move this business along? We review the P&Ls with them. We go over those sort of things. So it's not completely hands off. But when you're talking about an hour every month or every 2 months, that's the kind of, you know, passive income that I like to have, because I also like to have my hands involved in it to a certain extent, from just being able to use what my giftings are, or, my insights are. Does that kind of shed some
Yeah.
more light on that?
Yeah, I think it's the alternative of trading time for money, which is exactly what we've been all taught, is that you must earn every dollar with every hour. And in a way, and what's so funny is I come from a billable hour culture industry.
Yeah.
So do you know how hard that was to overcome mentally? Was that like I'm worth the time I spend on my clients, was like my entire mindset when I started my business, and going, I only have this much time to dedicate. There's no way I can charge this much. And and it was wild because I'm looking at it now going like, Shannon, what were you thinking? But it's because we associate our value with our effort, like earnings to effort versus earnings to results. And to actually being smarter, it's the smarter, not harder mindset. But like that's obviously overused. I'm just like, yeah, we all know smarter, not harder. But it really comes down to how are you leveraging your time, leveraging all of that to maximize your wealth building efforts. And I love what you said about becoming an active participant in it. Like it's not uninvolved income, because I use this analogy with CFO, like for business owners, right? Which is who's listening. We always talk about like, I'm the navigator in the front seat. But if you hire a finance person, hire a CFO, you throw them the keys, put yourself in the trunk, shut the lid and go, take me where I'm going. You will not like where you end up because you're not participating in telling me where you want to go or what route you want to take. So I'm going to be hitting speed bumps that I hit, and you're going to be bouncing around the trunk going, I don't like this. And like, well, then maybe don't give me the keys, and maybe you should stay on the wheel 10 and 2 and I sit in the front seat with Waze and go, "Hey, turn right, turn left. I think this will be faster. There's traffic up ahead." That's really what the advisor should be doing. That's what we should be doing as coaches, and that's so important that you become an active participant. Like, you need to learn how to drive the car, and
For
we can just
sure.
help you with the navigation.
For sure. I think, again, the idea that we have been told, and this is something we're passionate about at
Yeah.
Wealth Without Wall Street, is Wall Street has convinced you that, one, you're not smart as they are, and that this is a really complex algorithm, or, formula to getting you to financial success, and that you need to abdicate 100% of that function to them.
Mhm.
And they will not pay you until you're in your 60s and 70s, right? So we're not going to, and by the way, I'm also not responsible for the outcome. That's what Wall Street tells you. Well, the market is what it is. There's certain volatilities and risks associated with it. And, what's your risk profile and all this sort of garbage. So I'm going to keep your money as long as possible. I'm going to get paid fees today on my efforts to, quote unquote, manage your money, but you're not going to see the results until you're in your 60s and 70s. And we all just hope that it works out. That is the biggest marketing scam that we have bought hook, line, and sinker. And the idea is there is no idea of abdication. You have to take responsibility. You have to take control of your own finances. And that's what we really want to empower people on that journey.
Yeah, we've taken a similar approach where now we have to be transparent, we have a blend of, some money in the market, but we have a lot of money in real estate and things that we can actively control. Well, yes, you can't control the real estate market, but you can control what you buy, where you buy it, and making sure that we have, and I think you touched on this in the beginning, and I want to hit this, things that you understand. That you
Yes.
understand. You don't put money in things you don't understand. I cannot emphasize that enough. How many clients have put money in God knows what scams because they're like, they told me if I buy this Amazon store and I do this, that I'm going to make a ton of money. And I'm like, and how does it work? And they're like, I have no idea. So, like, if you don't understand how you make money and what influences you making or losing money, what factors make the wind change on that, Don't put your money in it. Ask questions. I think, like you said, become a savvy investor. Ask the right questions. You're not being difficult. You're being protective of your money and a good steward of it. I think that can't be emphasized enough. That people hop on these trends of ways to make
Oh,
money, and then they don't understand it, and they think that Bitcoin's just going to make you money. And I go, not well. What are you going to do with it? What are you using it
exactly.
for? What will it produce, and then what will you use that money for? You have to have a plan in place, and it's not to make it sound overwhelming to you guys, but I think it comes down to you actually have to simplify. You actually have to
Right.
simplify what you're doing and be able to say, I do these three strategies to help me build my wealth. If they're working for you, keep putting money in that machine.
Right. Well, I'm going to jump on that bandwagon you just mentioned. The crypto bandwagon in my mind is a complete travesty because people are putting it in to they can't not like to your point. I don't know what this coin even is or does, but I just heard that it's going to the moon. Right? I just got to get on. The FOMO of crypto is ridiculous.
Hmm.
And the best part is if you're focused on it just from an ROI standpoint, it's almost like it's an egotistical or it's a braggadocious kind of system that they want to say, man, I bought here and I sold here and look at me. And then it went down. Like that's the ideal
Yeah.
scenario
You got
for
lucky.
crypto, right? I was
Like,
just lucky.
yeah.
But the reality is how did that produce freedom in your life?
Hmm.
What do you mean? No, how much cash flow did it produce that paid your mortgage last month? Oh, no, it doesn't produce cash flow. Well, so you're saying you're just gambling with some insider knowledge that you think that you've received that everybody else didn't receive. And now you're going to win because you're going to turn $1,000 into $100,000 in the next 60 days. That is not going to be sustainable. If it happened once, amazing. It will not happen over and over and over again. The better strategy is, man, I know what it takes to live my life. I know what the monthly expenses are because I've done the math. Every month it's $8,000 or 6,000, whatever the number is. All I have to do is find outlets that produce that kind of money every month. And then my calendar, I like to pull up my phone, my calendar, I get to put the color coded boxes on it. Like I don't have someone else dictating to me what goes on those boxes. I choose who I'm with, where I'm at, and what I'm doing. That is financial freedom. Now, your definition may be different. It may be I get to pick my kid up from school every day. It's it may be that I get to volunteer it with this ministry or with this community, function that I'm a part of at a higher level. But whatever that is, I'm telling you, crypto's not going to produce it for you.
Hmm.
But you know what? If you get enough rental properties, it could. If you bought into a land flipping business like we have, or you have a car on Turo that someone else operates and they just pay you $600 a month net profit. Or, I mean, there's all these strategies, Shin.
Right.
We can dive into whatever you want, but
Yeah.
my point is think differently. The world is trying to tell you to gamble your way to some sort of, mystical place. And in the meantime, your expenses are what they are. You just have to cover 'em. That's it. Keep it
Yeah.
simple.
And in a very similar way, the way I look at it as, okay, do that again. Like,
Yeah.
it's like when they do that, I go, okay, cool, do it again. It's like, I don't know if I can do it again. Okay, then it's not a strategy. It was a roll of the dice. And I call it the casino money. I go, okay, I have money in crypto, but it's my casino money. I take money into the casino. I used to live near Foxwoods. I would take money into the casino and go, this is the cost of a good time to spend the day. And I'm okay losing it. But if I win, the first thing when my husband put money in crypto and he gained, and I said, what you do is you take the money that you brought with you and put that away. Take that money out and you're only playing with winnings and you are no worse off if something goes south, but you're learning. And we're going to like see how this goes and participate. You have to have a good healthy attitude about it where you're not relying on it for wealth building. You have to like actually view that as like that's the casino play money. We're going to the arcade and we're going to see if we win, right? But you have to like release that and realize it has its own purpose. But I see too many people overly relying on things like this they don't understand and don't have any influence over its growth, like running a business, which is why we advocate so hard for our business owners to build enterprise value in their business. So one day they can exit or they can have it be cash flowing for them without their involvement. Because what I found is a lot of business owners have just bought themselves another full time job and
100%.
they're just trading time for money, but they're not any better off for it, any more free. They just don't have a boss telling them what to do, but they also don't have a steady paycheck. So
Yeah. They
it's
may
tough.
have even traded in those hours at a higher cost. Oh
Exactly.
man, instead of, getting $50 an hour, I'm at $150 an hour. But by the way, I wear all the hats,
Mhm. Yeah, but
right?
I'm also
So
doing the marketing and doing all the promo and doing all of the sales and doing all of the accounting and all the other things. And it's like I'm actually doing 5 full-time jobs for that
e-
rate. So I'm actually not
exactly.
really arbitraging this. Uh, so that's a really key thing though, is I think a lot of business owners are in that and they're going, I'm not even thinking of building wealth right now. I'm just trying to get to the point where I have a steady paycheck out of my own business. And obviously that's what we help with. But I know you mentioned I wanna go back to this. You mentioned the infinite banking concept.
Yeah.
It's a phrase I've heard before. Could you just elaborate on that for those listening who haven't heard of this, just so that they can kinda get their head around it?
Yeah. So, in our whole first step that we walk people through, we have them create a passive income operating system. And that may sound a little, crazy or never heard it before. Ultimately, it is helping somebody to determine if my goal is financial freedom today, not when I'm 65 or 70 or whatever the number is that everybody's told you it's supposed to be, then I need to think differently about where my money is going. Am I putting money into things that are trapping it, keeping it from going towards my financial freedom, getting me closer to or further from financial freedom? We help people identify that one on one to make sure that they know what they're doing with money. Does it support it or not? Then whatever's left over, because to your point, I want there to be excess. If you're not living above or below your means, then you don't have any way to build wealth. You don't have any way to build financial freedom. But so when you have that surplus, it has to go somewhere. Where is it going to be saved? We call that like your storage facility. Like, where are you going to store your money before it goes to produce passive income? Well, there's a lot of different options, right? But in a savings capacity, checking, savings, that sort of thing, those things fall short because one, they don't pay that much interest, right? If any, and over the last 10 years, it's been averaging less than 0.2%, in those sort of vehicles. They're also taxable vehicles, right? And they have limited protection. FDIC could fall apart tomorrow. It's so underfunded, it's ridiculous. So the alternative is what we read in this book in 2009. My business partner and I, become your own banker. And Nelson Nash, the author, he talks about the infinite banking concept is replacing your storage place. He calls it your bank, by using a high cash value life insurance product. And you're like, oh man, life insurance, like that's the worst thing. Nobody puts money in life insurance. And I would tell you, I thought the same thing because I was working at Wells Fargo Bank at the time. So here I am reading the book, Become Your Own Banker, and working at Wells Fargo Bank in the mortgage department. And I went around to all the executives that I knew in our local area. I'm in Birmingham, Alabama. And I just would go up and say, hey, I'm reading this book. This guy recommends overfunding high cash value life insurance as a vehicle for savings. And every one of them, Shannon, this is no exaggeration. Every one of them said, Joey, that is a dumb idea. Nobody that I know puts like money into cash value life insurance. It's the dumbest thing. Everybody knows that. And then I did something, and you can do this yourself. I pulled up the balance sheet of Wells Fargo Bank. And this may not shock you, Shannon, because I know you're involved in the financial world.
Mhm.
I said, well, where does Wells Fargo put their money? And they put a lot of money in real estate. At the time, it was like $11.2 billion in real estate. They have the best locations, all the stuff, right? Well, you go down to line 41 and it says cash value life insurance holdings. This is their tier. This is where they put tier one capital,
Mm.
$19.3 billion. So the bank is almost putting double into life insurance than they do into real estate. And the best part about this, Shannon, this I share the story because is 100% true. The people I was talking to were the ones insured by the bank. Like the bank had insurance policies on all the executives. That's how they put money into life insurance. And these guys were literally unaware that this is how the wealthiest of the wealthy, the biggest banks in the world, are putting billions of dollars into this very thing that they said was a dumb idea. And so, anyways, long story, I learned that and I immediately said, I need to do what the banks do, not what they say. I need to do what they do, not what they say. And so I started funding these cash value life insurance policies on myself, my wife, my kids. Now, Russ and I have over 40 of these across investment partners, our business partnership. We have policies on each other. And this is just this is the vehicle that we then leverage into passive income assets that we buy. And then that money flows right back into the system. So I mean, I can, again,
Mhm.
it's hard to audibly explain the passive income operating system, but we have
Yeah.
webinars and ebooks and everything that explain it. But
Yeah.
that's the hub that gives you your money can actually grow in two places at once because of the unique features of it. We can dive into all that, but
Yeah.
that's essentially what the concept is based around.
Yeah, and I think that for those listening, if it doesn't make sense, that's normal. Number 1, because we haven't been taught this. If we were even taught as US citizens, if we were even taught anything financial related in school, number 1. Number 2, it definitely wasn't this. So, one thing to understand is this kind of I say contrarian, but it's more like, you know, this is kind of a pocket of information that probably isn't widely shared. And it's a little tricky because it's like, is this just another one of those like tactics that's like make money, get rich quick, whatever? And I think that the difference in focus here that what Joey's describing is his focus on education, because I'm sure that what you do with your clients is when you work with them to implement something like this, it's heavily focused on education, right? And understand how the
100%.
mechanisms work.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a long process to work with somebody to get them to see objectively what they've been doing. They've been buying financial products
Hmm.
all along the way that they were totally good for, right? But they
Right.
weren't really aligned with a goal that they came up with. They were just given, hey, well, this is what everybody else does, so you should do it too. When they start actually being educated on what am I actually trying to accomplish, all of a sudden these things start making really good sense or really bad sense. And then as we explain how this whole system works with the infinite banking at the hub, now all of a sudden they start making decisions. Nobody's telling them what to do. This is like, well, why wouldn't I do this and this and this? We're like, actually, that makes a lot of sense. You should do that because that's going to get you closer to your goal. But
For
yes,
sure.
highly educational to get your system set up. And then, of course, we talked about the lab. It's 12 weeks, one on one and in group setting, where you walk out of there with your first $500 a month in passive income so that you can then have the confidence to keep stacking that over and over until you reach your goal. And
Yep.
so, yeah, we're big on education for sure.
Yeah, I think that's the key here. And going back to don't invest in things you don't understand, invest also the time to understand certain things that you think will help build the wealth. Because as much as I say don't invest in things you don't understand, I'm not saying that we have a fixed mindset about what I know today is all I can do. And whatever I understand today is all I'm limited to. You also have the ability to educate yourself and learn more so that you can expand these opportunities and these options for yourself, right? That you can figure out what works best for you and your style, your risk tolerance, all those things. But I know that we could talk about this forever, Joey, but we have to wrap up because I know we have to run. But, could you just tell listeners where they can find out more about what you guys do?
Yeah. So I love to have people just let me know, hey, I heard you on the Keep What You Earn podcast. So
Mhm.
go to wealthwithoutwallstreet.com/keep what you earn. And again, wealth.wallstreet.com/keep what you earn. They'll have there's contact information for us there. There's free giveaways. I think we even have a free quiz to see how close you are to financial freedom, just to give you an objective first place where you're at so you can see where you're headed.
Yeah, and guys, if you want to have Joey back on to expand on more of these topics, let us know. Tag at Keep What You Earn on all the platforms and let us know you're listening. Joey, thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, my pleasure, Shannon. Thanks for you.
So, profitability is one thing, but cash flow is what truly keeps your business running smoothly. It's not just about how much you make, it's about how much you can actually use to sustain and grow and maintain that cash in your control. When you book a power session with me, we can take a look at your payment cycles, your transaction timing, and your personal cash needs to make sure you're staying ahead of the curve. Managing cash flow is a constant process, but one of the most important pieces of the puzzle for a successful business. Find out more information about a power session with me to do your cash flow forecast in the show notes.